Well,
I mean, that
I've
is
listened to
expensive.
plenty of your guys. Listened to plenty of your guys' live recordings, and I think you guys sound great live.
What? The live
Well,
recordings are
well, yeah,
awesome.
but we did 3 albums. I really like the Sex Crazy thing. That went well. And we recently had a 3 CD pack put out. And one of them was a live recording done in December '77 in a place called Margate on the beach. Well, not in a beach, in a building. And that really gives you a sound of what a raw sort of punk band was like at that time. I mean, I was amazed that it sounds so clear. I mean, because it must have been done on a little, tiny little cassette thing, and have cleaned it
So
up.
was that the live recordings that are kind of packaged with that Power Drive album?
No, no, not Power Drive album. No, no, no. It was. This is Lurker stuff. This is, I think, it was Sex Crazy, and one of the albums we did before, um, and the Live at Margate. It only came out this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now, and what happened is the guy in the record company, he said to Pete, "Have you got any old recordings?" Because he realizes we're a bit quirky and stuff. Well, Pete said, "Yeah, I've got our first demo we ever did in '76 in this tiny little recording studio." And he said, "Well, let's listen to it." And his idea was to release it as a single, which he did, and it went to number 2 in the UK vinyl charts. It didn't sell many, remember, because it's vinyl and not many people buy it. Ed Sheeran and these sort of people, they'll be selling about 5 million, but then this is 7-inch vinyl.
Yeah.
But what the guy did from the record company, he said, "I'm going to put it up for auction on eBay, and it might sort of like market it, advertise it a bit." Well, I didn't mind, but we're not sort of kind of people to sort of do this kind of thing. So Pete said, "Well, I don't want to sort of like look as though we're doing this just to make some money. Whoever buys it, all the money that's raised will go to Guide Dogs to the Blind." So we were happy with that.
That's
Anyway, it
great.
raised 260 quid. And Pete wrote to me the other day and he said, "You know who bought that, Pete?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Henry Rollins. He got in touch with me."
That's so awesome.
Yeah. And what he's doing, he's getting a museum in Nashville, and he's asked Pete to sell him his old Gibson, and Pete is, but I don't think he'd want anything off of me. But yeah, so Henry Rollins is a fact. So it's nice to have someone on our side.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
there's a lot of people on your side.
well, and it's going to go to the thing there. It's great. Yeah, the Lurkers never had anything against America. You see, that was the funny thing, because these bands said, "I'm so bored with the USA and Yank shit and American this," and given the first opportunity, they're all out there
Oh yeah.
because it's the home of rock and roll. And of course it is. You've only got to listen to the Ramones or something, and then you go back. I mean, back to anyone, Chuck Berry, Elvis Presley, whatever. But I like it, and Pete and Nigel, we like the fact that Henry is getting this museum together in Nashville, which is a fantastic place. I'd like to go there, and and some of our stuff is going to be in that museum. Now, I find that very, very humbling. That it's a music town in
Yeah.
the nation which had developed rock and roll. To me, it's fantastic. It's I just think things like that are great and good for Henry. And it raised £260 for the guide dog, so that's good.
That's awesome, and the money went to a good place. I mean,
Yeah,
you see
yeah,
that,
that's
that,
right.
that that's what I'm saying. That's the impact that you guys have had. Like, I mean, like the first time I heard you guys, I was like 15, and I just turned 46. That was a long time ago, man. And like, I just love the Lurkers, man. Like when I was emailed to interview you, man, like I was like, wow, I'm very very grateful, man, to like have you here, man. And you're very
Well,
entertaining, and like in realizing that you've been writing books and like reading your book, it was awesome too, man. So much about like social justice, so much about like the bullshit of like Prozac. I love like how you like when the character started like taking like the double dosage of like Prozac, like that's when he started going like even like crazier. And then I did a little research, and most people that like actually get into like those crazy shootouts and they shoot people up in like movie theaters, an example, like the people that are like double on
that's
Prozac.
right.
That is
It's in that.
crazy.
It's in
Yeah,
that 2 week. Go on.
yeah. That's quite crazy, man. And like I kind of like I got that from your book, man. Like I started doing like a little bit of research and like I realized that you speaking like the truth, man. Like it's not
Well,
fiction,
it's
really. It's
no.
semi-fiction what you're writing.
Well, the thing is, the governments aren't going to admit that these people are emotionally upset. They're not upset about what they saw. They're upset that they've been used by
Yes.
these governments or forces or companies to kill innocent people for no reason other than money, and it upsets them to a point that it deeply traumatizes them. Now, Prozac doesn't address that at all, and they know that. But they have found out it's during that 2 week period when they 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 increase the Prozac drug, whatever it is. I'm actually on Prozac. I'm on sertraline, right? And I mean, all the best nutters
The
are.
world makes him
It's,
crazy. He starts realizing everything like everything is fucked up, and it's
yeah, yeah.
overwhelming to him.
Yeah,
Eh,
that's right. But it is during that period when they double it, as you say, they find out. Like, I mean, that guy that went in with the Joker thing in that cinema, they'd
yeah.
upped his Prozac during. But it's lots and lots and lots of examples of this. But there's
Hmm.
no way the governments can kind of admit to this and what was happening. It's a moral injustice, That's what it is. It's not sort of like post-war trauma. No, it's
Yeah.
far deeper than that. It's far deeper than that.
And it's a
Because
pharma too, man. Like
essentially, I believe that essentially we're good. Most people want to be good. I know it's hardwired into us to be spiteful and greedy, and it's very easy to tap into that psyche. But also, we wouldn't be here if it was all dog eat dog, survival of the fittest. We wouldn't be
uh,
here. Altruism is our greatest attribute, and it's through
Absolutely.
altruism, and otherwise
I
we wouldn't
agree.
be here.
100%.
yeah, I mean like what's the point, man? Anytime that like I get in like in a verbal fight with anybody, man, like 10 minutes later I feel bad, man. I can't go to sleep at
Yeah.
night until I get up and I write an email apologizing. It's like when I was a kid, like I was just a disaster. Like I was the opposite because I just didn't give a fuck. But
Yeah.
like now you do, man. You realize that like it's just so self rewarding to do the right thing, dude, without bragging about it. It's like when people go out and they're like, "Whoa, I did this and I did that today. I'm such a nice person." It's just like, what's the
I
point
mean,
of that, you know?
yeah, because you're a sort of like a balanced individual. Now, these people who run us, whether it's Trump, Reagan, Blair, Thatcher, all of these people and these people that run these countries, they haven't got a conscience. You see,
Yeah,
they're
exactly. Yeah.
psychopaths. They're psychopaths. You have a conscience. I have a conscience. You can meet Mr. Bully Boy down the pub and say he's not going to overdo it because he has a conscience as well.
Yeah,
These people
exactly.
have no interest in individuals and their feelings, and they
Well,
demonstrate that by the creation of the turmoil and misery they create on this bloody planet.
Money and power and fame. Well, it's all kind of all the same thing.
yeah.
I've just written my last novel. I'm trying to get published, and I didn't want to self-publish it, but well, it's called Dressing for Gem. It's about a kind of nervous individual whose mum was very nervous because his father went away with a younger woman, but he's got a sister who's like the jewel of the family. She's intelligent. She dresses like a hippie chick in the 60s, and she's doing well. She goes to university and she's very artistic. But then she suffers a terrible breakdown and gets schizophrenia. She's very mentally ill. And what happens is she goes round. She visits prostitutes because she believes they're like angels of the Lord, and takes them little toys and sweets and everything. Well, this maverick, this renegade cop, this rogue cop, he gets hold of her and rapes her and murders her. You see, but he does a lot of this, but he's allowed to do it because he's got information on high-ranking paedophiles and the security of this country. Well, my man, he starts going to the police station and say, why isn't my sister's death being investigated? And he learns through these women's groups that prostitutes' deaths aren't really bothered about because they thought his sister was a prostitute, but she wasn't. To cut it short, he goes quite mad. But he dresses. The thing about this guy is he's a cross-dresser. He's always dressed as a woman because it makes him feel strong. And he's infatuated with Emma Peel from the Avengers. And I don't know if you know about that character. and she is intelligent. She's physically able to look after herself. And this character was in the 60s. It was a huge hit over here, and most probably in the States, all right. And he dresses like Emma Peel. Now he thinks, what would Emma Peel do about this? Well, she would go out looking for justice, but he can only do this dressed as Emma Peel. And he bumps into a guy who's a non-combat instructor, and he tells his tale. And this bloke teaches him some of the dark arts of fighting as a woman. And then he goes off to where the prostitutes are to get this copper and these people in this brothel. You see, it's called Dressing for Gem. Now I'm imagining what that looks like when that lands.
Interesting, man.
It does sound very interesting.
That sounds very interesting.
Do you know of any American publishers I could send stuff to? Go out there, because I'll ask Henry if he can put me up in the box room, and I'll hang around in America for a while. I think I'd enjoy that.
Hey, man. I know a couple people. I could actually like talk to them. I think you're sending a message. You're actually speaking the truth, and like your books are not so much fiction. They're semi-fiction.
Well,
like you create the characters, but like the character's reality is a reality, and that's a reality of the world. And like most people are just like inventing or trying to reinvent the new tomorrow, dude. And it's not gonna happen, man. Like. I can't read just crap, dude. I can't read bullshit, man, because bullshit is not gonna make me smarter at all whatsoever, man. And
no, it just adds to the delusion, doesn't it? You know?
Exactly. And like we need to change this world, man. Like we started like a long time ago, man, and like we just put our arms down and we just gave up, man. It's like when Trump was here, man, it was too crazy, man. Like people were just like against each other. Like there was so much separatism here, and it wasn't even about race. It was just about like. Who wants to be that way? Then like, because a lot of people started being like racist, like straight up racist, and like straight up like just bad people.
Normalized it.
Yeah, he normalized pretty much like that the ideas of like speak your mind no matter what. But which is a good thing to speak your mind, but not when you're actually speaking with hate, man, because hate is always just a thing that.
Well, and you're absolutely right, Alex. And it isn't actually speaking the truth; it's actually adding to divisions. They don't want people to speak the truth and say as it is. They just want scapegoating, witch huntery, picking on people. And you know,
Bullying.
It's the race to the bottom. It's the race to the bottom, morally and materially.
I just can't understand how people. I cannot put myself in their shoes because, like I said, dude, I can't go to sleep at night when I just think that I did something wrong, man.
Oh, I can. I'm a coward. It's just, you know. I don't mind hitting people, but now they've got to be blind and very, very short, very short, blind, and have no friends, and then I will attack them from behind. That's what kind of miserable bastard I am.
Yeah, I gotta make sure that like I don't fart or anything, because like last time I farted, like I almost like broke a rib. It's like that's what happens, man. You look pretty good for your age, man. You're 67. I'm very impressed, man.
Oh, thank you very much.
Like you do not look 67, man, and you don't have the mind of a 67-year-old. You are still like very bright and like.
I'm going to use an American expression. You're not hitting on me, are you? You don't want to sort of. You don't want to take me to the cinema, do you? And watch an action.
I want to arm wrestle you, man.
Arnie, talk about big arms in the back of the cinema. Just Alex and Pete, a table for two. Is that where this is leading to? Is it?
Finally got my dream come true, man.
That's what this was all about. It's all set up for that.
But it's good, man, because most people, like, you know, the older they get, the more like they adapt or they conform. And then like it's good to like, you know, have your convictions and like be able to think the same way that you always thought.
Yeah, I suppose, you know, a lot of people would say I'm emotionally sort of I haven't developed, but
it's good to have emotions, man. Fucking A, man. If you don't have emotions, you don't feel, man. You don't feel the pain of others. You don't feel your own pain, and like.
Yeah, I know. I knew I was a bit odd, but you know, I'm not alone, Alex. There's a lot of people. They don't change with age either. You know, I think if anyone's got something to say and they're honest about it, you're angry right up to the point you die, and it's better to die angry than just conforming to a pile of shitheads. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like that song by the Addicts, "Viva la Revolution." I love that song, man. It just talks about like, you know, we're gonna take it back. We're gonna take it back. Like we
No,
are one day we are gonna take it back, man.
well, you got to hope for the best, just to have healthcare, housing, education, to have some kind of level playing field for people, and then for them to make their own minds up what they're doing. But this, I mean, what you've got in America is absolutely disgraceful, isn't it?
Oh God.
And we're going the same way. I mean, those places, where people are living in their cars and things, and they're further alienated, and the price of rent and properties going up, so it's further alienating them. But what kind of society is that? The richest country in the world. It's a disgrace.
We have
Yeah.
like cities of homeless people now, man. Well, like our money's being spent on like what, killing other people, making bases everywhere so we can actually spy on other people. But it's like we don't take care of our own, man.
I know. It's just, I know.
It's like everybody that's homeless here, dude. They're all mentally disabled. Every single one of them has some type of
Yeah.
freaking like mental disability, and they don't give two fucking fucks about them.
Well, now
That
in
breaks my
LA,
fucking heart, man. That breaks my fucking heart, man. It makes me
now
fucking
in LA,
angry.
it's not just mentally ill people in LA now. It's just it's so expensive. You do
Yeah,
have
that's right.
like families that are just living out of a car.
Like
Yeah.
like Sean the other day, man. His family, his wife pregnant, 4 kids, they got thrown on the streets, man.
Yeah.
Because the landlord wanted to sell the house.
And,
What
and
kind of
this is
person does that?
and this is something you would have watched in a documentary about somewhere in Sri Lanka 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And now it's happening in countries like the States, and it's happening here in the UK. I mean, we've got the same people running it, for God's sake, it's the same families. Yeah, I mean, that's right. The food banks we got the other. We had the Queen died here. Yeah, I mean, I've got nothing against her. I don't give a shit about them. Actually, they're just very violent, people. When she died, they had it on the TV and I was listening to the radio, and it was on about this bloody Queen with the, and what they did as a mark of respect in Leicester, they closed down the food bank, but it was people outside waiting. I thought, that is just the sickest thing you've ever heard, isn't it?
Makes no
Mark of
sense.
respect.
That is insane, man.
There we go. Musically, boys, I'll be getting together with Pete and Nigel in a couple of months. I'll be going down there, and winter will be coming on, so I'll have to pay £1 an hour for the radiator. Lunatics.
But
But
a
yeah,
pound an
I
hour,
mean,
that's a lot. If that's the reality of the situation,
it's
that
not
is a
bad.
lot.
Not here. Not here. I mean, you see, I mean, it's a lot more expensive to live here than the States. It's
It is expensive here.
Yeah,
So I can only
I
imagine.
know, but I mean, I mean, a gallon of petrol. Oh, right, this is going to get in a bit now. Gallon of petrol here is over £7, nearly £8.
Oh, wow.
$10 a
gallon?
gallon. Mm.
Wow, man. It's because of the Russian war or what?
No, it's because the energy companies have made the massive profits, haven't they? They're using. If it wasn't COVID,
They're
it's
using
Ukraine. If it wasn't Ukraine, it's fat blokes with bald heads. Someone's got to be to blame. It's just all about profits.
How much was it before the war? Oh, it's gone down.
Yeah, it's gone down.
Yeah,
It did go up
yeah.
before the war. Yeah, no, it's these things are. We only rely about 3% on the Russian gas and energy and stuff.
That's what I'm saying. Like that I don't get it.
No,
And
but
everybody.
don't. Anyway, I sod that. Yeah, I mean, I'm doing my writing. I'm doing the music with Pete and Nige. In my little world, that's what I do, And I tell you what, it's very nice of you guys to say you'd like to have a chat to me,
Oh,
Yeah, man.
excellent. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Like I
it.
want to ask you one more thing. So like what's the situation with all the refugees over there in England? Like the people that are coming from Syria and stuff like that. Like what's
Yeah.
going on? A lot of people tell me different things, and like you're a man of the truth. So
Well,
what is going on?
Well, there's about 600 people a day landing on the beach from France alone, besides all the other things. Now, obviously, it's created a lot of friction amongst people, but then again, that's what it was designed to do. And it has affected the housing market, the health, and people
Yes.
don't want these people in their back garden. I mean, yeah, it can't be right in one way, but I always say this. In 1892, you had women dying in the street giving birth to children. You had a mortality rate, age expectancy of maybe 50, and we had terrible diseases. but there weren't any refugees or foreigners then, was there? You see,
Right.
so it's to do with policy. Whether you agree or don't agree with the refugee thing, it's got nothing to do with the state of the people in this country. I mean,
I
as I
think it's all
just said,
pre-designed.
I mean, the Queen spending £150 million or something on her funeral, and they shut a food bank down out of respect. I mean, that's the real story to me. I mean,
Yeah, exactly, man.
but there's nothing I can do about it, and so I don't bother. So I talk to the little dog here, Rosie. I'm gonna go and get her.
I think
I wanna
everything is
see
a
the dog.
distraction.
This is Rose.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
see that?
Oh,
This
oh
is
yeah.
the beast. This dog is the future. This is what we're all got to pin our hopes on. This is
Is that a Yorkie?
She is the bugger. Yeah. I
Nice.
get all my
I got a little
messages,
Yorkie.
Alex and Damien, at night from her. She sleeps under my bed in a Mexican wrestling mask and whispers through the mattress my orders for the day. And she said,
Nice.
"You've got to speak to those two young men tomorrow on the radio,
Oh.
Peter. Be polite, Peter. Be polite, you see. And
That
don't
was
show
amazing.
them the fingers of the young girl who you snipped them off the other day."
Well, thank her for me.
Yeah. Well, this is Rose. Rosie is a punk rocker. Aren't you,
Yeah.
Rose? You
Rosie
bloody
is a
lunatic.
punk rocker.
Get out
Oh,
of
that's
here.
awesome. So, when your next novel comes out, man, let's do another chat, man, and let's talk about your place and everything else.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll have some more music there, Alex.
Yeah.
If you have a chat, if you don't mind, this is the trouble with desperate people like me. If you've got people to ask Rose, get out. If you've got anyone to talk to about my writing and stuff, I mean, please ask.
Okay,
Because
I will
I
do,
think
man.
I think my work would transpose over to an American audience, wouldn't it?
Of course.
Oh yeah, I mean, like your last book, it's like the American reality, man.
Yeah,
It's like
well,
going mad and start shooting people and stuff.
Have you read my book, God's Lonely Men?
No, like pretty much like the only one I read was the one you sent me, man. I
Well,
do
listen,
want
do
to
you
read.
want me? Do you want me to send you the book?
Please.
Yeah, I'll send it to you as a present. I mean, the book's nothing, but it's like the bloody postage. It's about 10 quid postage.
I'll pay for that, man. I'll pay
Well,
for
listen,
that. Don't worry about it, man.
Yeah, you give me the address, and I'll send you the book.
Yeah, I'll pay for the postage and everything, man. I'll give you the address and
I'll just send the one. I'll just send the one because I want to sign it to Damien and Alex. I'm so glad you paired off.
Thank you.
You are awesome, man. Like honestly, man. Like, let's try to get your book published, and if you get it published, or you're gonna do it yourself, obviously. If it doesn't happen, like I want to have another chat with you. I want to talk about your place. I want to talk about like other things too. So it was a pleasure, man. Honestly, like I am.
Well, and thanks very much. And
I'm looking forward to the new music as well.
Yeah, well, yeah. Don't get too
Are you guys
excited.
gonna tour at all? Now? Are you guys gonna play?
No, we won't play live, mate. It would be like a nightmare version of the Muppets if the fucking Lurkers went on the road. You know what I mean? Fucking awful.
I think you guys should like at least do Rebellion, the festival in Blackpool.
Well, I'm there actually.
Everybody's been doing that, man. Like everybody's getting back together and doing Rebellion.
No, we won't be able to do it. We won't be able to do it. Yeah. Pete's a lunatic. I'm fucking useless, and Nigel has got no memory. I mean, it's just like it'd be like in these centres for people with learning disabilities, and they get a group together. It'd be like that, and it's fucking. It'd be ridiculous.
I would go see a band with mental disabilities.
I would too.
Well, no, I mean, but these I know, but these groups they might go and go, yeah, fuck the world and all this shit, but they rehearse for about 6 years. We can't rehearse without having an argument about is there a spider in the corner of the room, and then we just go down the bloody pub. So I mean, it's pointless, and it was always like that, So forget it. We were just lucky we did what we did because I'm telling you. It was against the odds because we didn't really know what we were doing. And, I take my writing far more seriously, but with the music, it's great, I mean, and it's great when people like it, people like you talking about it. It's very humbling, I appreciate, and so does Pete and Nigel. We've never played with other groups. You know, it's just something we did. I mean, I wouldn't have played drums in a band if I didn't know Pete. I mean, what would I have fucking done? You know what I mean? I used to tell people I was a jazz drummer. I couldn't even play a beat. And, well, you know,
drumming is so solid, man. On the live, it's like,
oh, yeah, I
it
know.
was so
But
fast. It's just like 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2.
yeah,
It was
but,
amazing.
yeah, I know. But no. Yeah, but no.
Those live
honestly,
albums, epic.
there's something wrong in my sort of brain function, because I used to tell people I was a jazz drummer, right? And I couldn't drum properly, and Pete couldn't play. It was just fucking a racket. And but then when we did get together, we went to Germany, and I said to Howard, I don't think I've got any problem with German. And he gave me this long look, like he often did. He was friends with my brother Dave, they're a couple of years older. And he said, why is that, Pete? I said, because I think I'm Anglo-Saxon, and I think it will be there, this sort of the primeval thing of being able to speak German. He said, well, I'll bet you 5 pints you can't. When we get off this boat and you're in Germany, we'll get a newspaper, and I bet you won't be able to read a fucking word of it. And I said, oh, no. For some reason, I thought I could speak German. It's very peculiar. And of course, I got there, and it's just fucking, it's a nonsense. But it's the same as my jazz drumming. For some reason, I thought I could play jazz. I'd never played in my life. And I just thought something I could do. And then this German, but the German thing was a bit of a lesson to me. I'll tell you this about getting things wrong. That Gary Newman, that was wrong. But the police supported us or whatever at the Marquee. They didn't have the lineup. They had another guy on a French sort of bloke on guitar. But the drummer, now I'll send you my book because I've written about it in there. I tell you, mate, this is mad. It's 1977, early 77. We're playing down the Marquee in London, and they're with us. And a few people were in there were going, fuck off, you old cunts, and all of this kind of thing. Because they're, you know, they were like 26 years of age. Yeah. And they were jazz players. I mean, you could tell they were grown men.
Oh, yeah.
Grown men, and they knew what they were doing. And there's me there, thick as shit. I was working in a petrol garage station. I was petrol pump attendant. And I'm drinking, because I used to drink a lot. And anyway, the drummer walked up to me, this Stuart Copeland. He's like tall, articulate. He's got the sort of like girlfriend they always seem to have with them, holding an attache case, you know. I've got my drumsticks in a plastic bag. And he said, how are you, man? I said, no, I'm okay, thanks, mate. He said, what do you think of the band? I said, well, I've got to be honest with you, mate. I think they're shit. I think you're crap. And he said, why? I said, well, you're too old, aren't you? You know, I mean, you're too old, you know. He was about 26. And he said, well, really? I said, yeah, but you can all play, can't you? You're like fucking school teachers or something, you know, probation officers. He said, can I get you a beer? I said, yes. And so he sent his girlfriend off, and he got me a beer, and he had like an orange juice. Well, I downed it, and he went, oh, wow, you thirsty? And I said, always thirsty, mate. And he said, I'll buy you another one. And he bought me a beer, and as he was looking at me, it was like I was being measured by some psychoanalyst or something. And he said to me, what do you think of our name, the Police? I said, well, I'm going to tell you what, mate. That is a shit name. And he said, why? I said, it's just a shit name. I said, I'm going to be honest with you, mate. You'll get nowhere with a name like the Police. Right? You're going to get nowhere with a name like this. And he said, really? And I said, anyway, it was it. A year later, Roxanne come out. Same thing like with Gary Newman later on. It just, you know, and there they were.
And there's that reggae sound too, right? Roxanne's got that reggae sound too, right?
Yeah, it was. They did a bit of this and a bit of that, a bit of miss and match. It's like being in a factory, isn't it? Working a formula for a new fucking, you know, sweet. Right. Yeah, and it's like mixing a cake, isn't it? Go, well, this one works well, you know. And but they're very, very good, intelligent people. And I didn't know that his father was a top CIA man. His mum was a professor at Princetown University for archaeology. Oh, his brother was a top agent in London. His other brother, Ian, was an agent in America. So this bloke is very well, entrenched
Connected.
in what's going on in the world. He'd been to a good school. He'd done this. And I was very aware of the class thing, but I had no education at that time. And it was just, I wasn't a bad bloke, but I mean, obviously I couldn't really speak to these people. And he must have thought I was an odd specimen, like some sort of fucking orangutan in a zoo or something. And his girlfriend, she couldn't speak to me. She's sort of looking at me like that. Yeah. Does it breathe? So, you can imagine her sort of like pushing a stick through the bars in the cage. Anyway, about a year and a half later, we did a gig in Edinburgh in Scotland. And in those days, on a Saturday, they would get you on the local radio station. And we were in there, and the bloke said, "We got a big treat for you." But us wasn't much of a treat. He said, "We got a big treat for you later. We got the police coming in. They're playing at the AstroTurf Stadium." We were playing down like Maggie May's pub, And I thought, oh, bollocks. And I thought, I hope we can get out of here before that lot turn up, you know what I mean? But no, they were there when we went into the green room. And success had made them grow about 4 feet. It's a very strange thing. They had a different guitarist, this little geezer. And that drummer looked at me and he went, "Oh, man, Esso, how are you?" I said, "I'm all right, thanks." He goes, "Man, since I took your advice, it's all gone downhill." And I said, that's all right. He goes, "What have you got to say about that, man?"
You
I
just
said,
want to
"Have you
punch him in
got
the face.
I said to him, no, that sting looked all right. And I said to him, "What do I think about it?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, no." He said, "What have you got to say about it?" I said, "What have I got to say?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Have you got any cars that I can wash for you?" And he said, "Oh," he goes, "I'll come back to you with that." But I thought, well, fair enough. Anyway, when we went to America the first time, we went to do a tour there. The bloke met us, and he's got this van, and he's got the things, and he's there. He's tall. He's got this sort of blondish hair. And as we come along, he went, "Hey, the Lurkers." He goes, "Which one of you guys is Esso?" I said, "Well, that's me." He said, "My brother, Stuart." He said, "When you meet Esso, say hi to him, and I hope you have a good tour." And I said, "Yeah." I can't
What a
believe it.
dick.
This guy just won't leave you alone.
I know.
No, I know. The Copeland family are obsessed by me, Alex, But,
Oh,
I mean,
that's awesome.
what a bunch of boring cunts. You know what I mean? What a bunch
For
of
sure,
boring
man.
cunts. I mean, yeah, good luck to them, and they do this and that, and they're good looking, and they play well. So obviously that explains it. But well, I mean, playing punk music, that Sting had like he'd sprayed something on himself or put a safety pin in a t-shirt or something, and he's putting his moody face, And I was looking at him, I thought, what a
That's
prick.
so funny.
I mean, what a prick, you know what I mean? And he wouldn't speak to us or anything. But I think that Stuart Copeland, he had the confidence, and he thought he'll go amongst the natives and see if they can speak English. Yeah. And he was like some kind of anthropologist talking to some fucking zoo. Yeah, listen, I talk too much, and I'll yeah.
Oh no, man! Like I loved it, man. Like your stories are great, man. Like
It's what I was hoping for. I was hoping you would talk.
Yeah,
no, man, you had a lot to say. And like, I respect you a lot, man. I respect your views. I respect what you're doing, man. Because like, at least, man, you are trying to make a difference, man.
Well,
And
yeah,
you made a difference here, man. So
well, I'm good. I'm glad about that, and that's where it matters, because I don't think I make any difference. But it's nice when you meet people along the way, because I appreciate it. You think, oh, well, this is good, because I mean, you talked to me about my writing there, because I've had a bit of a downer in my mind about it. What's the point, And then you saying that, well, yeah, I mean, it is important, really. It's important to me.
It is important, man. Yes, it is, man. It's like I even like like I listen to a lot of people, man. Everybody has something to say, dude, and like you got to give everyone a chance for the simple fact that like you don't know what they're going through, man. And one day you could just have a conversation with someone, and like you will never know, but you might have saved their life, and like there's a lot of things that could happen, man. That could go the wrong way or the right way, man.
Yeah.
So it's sometimes just taking 5 minutes out of your life can make a huge difference, man. And reading that book, man, made a difference on me, man. And like I appreciate that, man. Like,
well, I've got to say about this God's Lonely Men. It's the first thing I had published. I was asked to do it by friends, and because I wanted to do my writing, and they said, "Well, write about the Lurkers because people have heard about you." This is in 2007. I said, "Yeah, I know, but the thing is, the Lurkers weren't a big enough group. We weren't sexy. I didn't know anyone. We didn't mix with fashion designers and artists and sculptors. I just mixed with painter and decorators and fucking maniacs." And so he said, "No, it doesn't matter." And it was a good idea. But the only thing is, that was the first thing. It wasn't the first book I wrote, but it was. If I did it now, I know a lot more. I wouldn't have been so honest. It's a bit like some emotionally disturbed young person writing for his social worker or something. It's a bit too honest. And
Oh,
I've
I
had
like
some
that, man.
people.
Like, all we hear is
Yeah, I know.
bullshit
But I've
every
had
day.
some people say to me, "There's not much about music in it. It's just about it's just about me in
Yeah.
pubs and looking at people." But yeah, there isn't a great deal about music in there really. It's my rants. I mean, my rant about the police and Joe Strummer, I've just told you, that's in the book. There's those sort of things in it, and me. It's about outsiderism. It's about an outsider in a supposedly outsider cultural clique, which isn't. I mean, punk in England wasn't outsiderism. I think it is
It
in
was
the
still here.
States.
It was the
It
same,
is in
man.
the States. Like the garage band from the West Coast, because really that's where that wind of the Ramones comes from.
Right.
And it's all mixed up. I mean, like Brian Wilson's lyrics, this
Right. Just,
impossible bloke writing about these lovely 17-year-old girls, which he's never going to have, and he can't even
Right.
swim. And he's writing these songs with his feet
yeah.
in a
They
bowl of
weren't even
sand.
surfers. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's fantastic. And it's about that unavailability of that kind of thing you want in life. And it's there in their music, and it's there wonderfully with the Ramones. And that
Same thing to
is the
Ramones. Yes, I
service.
was gonna say that. The
Yeah.
Ramones, the
And
same
they've
thing.
just brought this forward. So I wouldn't be able to compare Crass or the Clash with that music
Oh,
because
Crash
it's
and the
coming
Clash are
from
two different things.
yeah, but they're coming from a different emotional base. That's my point.
Oh
I'm more
yeah,
interested in what happened over there with the dolls and Frankenstein.
the
His old
dictators.
shoes are too big, his jacket's too small. It's the patheticness of
Yeah.
being against the odds in life. And David Johansen gave it everything in that song to me. It's one of my favourite songs of all time. And it's because of this emotional sort of explosion.
I love the
It's
dolls.
not about, oh, we want to riot. Yeah, fuck off. Do you want to riot? Of course you don't, you cunt.
Yeah, like they didn't dress up like women just because they wanted to be women. They just wanted to piss people off. That's what the glam movement was back then, and like
Yeah.
they were just alienating people. That's what they were trying to do, and
And they were great at it.
they were getting on the women too. That's
Yeah,
awesome, man.
I know, and that's why I have to stop thinking about them, boys, because that does knock me a bit. You're saying it, Alex, but I'll get over it. As I say, I'm on sertraline, and I'll be able to live with it. But I remember my brother come home. I was about 17, and he'd seen the dolls in Bieber's in London, and he had their album. Oh, what is it? It's the one they're sitting on the couch with the lipstick thing, and my poor old daddy's there. He was like 5'3", he had a fucking terribly hard life. He was one of 14. He was a bit of a boxer and didn't get on with work. And he's sitting in the chair at home. And my brother said, "Look at this, Dad. That's the New York Dolls." And he looked at me and goes, "Well, are they men?" And my brother said, "Yeah, they're men, but they're dressed as women." He said, "Fucking hell." He goes, "Who are they trying to kid?" And he pointed at Killer Kane. He goes, "He looks like a light heavyweight boxer, for fuck's sake. What's he doing?"
I got a
Great
picture
stuff.
like signed by like all the New York Dolls, man.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
well,
the so I mean, like I think they're like one of the greatest bands too, man. Like back in those days,
I
who
mean,
was
Killer
doing that?
Kane. Have you
Who-
seen that film? Have you seen that film, A New York Doll?
Yeah, like the
Oh,
documentary.
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, about him with the Mormons and those women interviewing those
Oh,
Mormons and the way they're talking about him, and he's got his
that was
shirt with a
crazy.
tie on. And listen, that's real.
Oh, that spot so much, man. You had the dictators at the time, the Ramones coming out in '74, man. The Velvet
Yeah.
Underground already just doing things before that. I mean, New York was the place to be back then, and there was
Yeah,
nothing
I
like
mean,
that in LA.
funny enough, the dictators they're kind of avoiding in these situations, these talks, aren't they?
Yeah.
But I mean, they were there.
Oh yeah, like I mean, they didn't get no radio play or anything like that back then. It was only CBGBs, and that was it. And like nobody liked the punks. That's why they're turning into new wave.
Yeah,
It was
and I think
safer.
it's strange that, you know, like Blondie. I mean, I never liked Blondie, not because I disliked her, but you know, I don't mean from a sort of like a rapist point of view. I don't like her, you know. But I mean, you know, it was just so obvious that they jumped on the bandwagon. I know she used to work in these trendy clubs and pubs,
Yeah,
but they're doing that disco music. I know the drummer is a great drummer and he likes Keith Moon and all that, but it's disco music for God's
yeah,
sake.
they didn't fit in the bill. Yeah,
And they become very successful. And on these punk sites, they talk about Debbie Harry. But if she was a punk, so was fucking Marilyn Monroe. You know what I mean? It's
exactly.
you know, it's not. To me, punk isn't about that kind of crap. Punk
It's
is
an
about
attitude.
some fucking mad Pakistani bloke trying to get something to eat out of a river, playing a fucking harmonica. He's more punk. You know,
Yeah.
it's about expressing yourself and doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, it's this emotion thing. You know. Anyway, I'll go on and on about it. Never mind.
Well, I agree with
I
you.
should have other things to think about, shouldn't I, man of my age?
Hey man, you're full of
Like
knowledge. man. And-
where did I bury? Where did I bury all those schoolgirls in the 80s? You know, I should be thinking about these kind of things.
Hey, just leave it in your testament. But no,
Anyway,
man, it was a pleasure, man. And like, you go to the pub, have yourself a drink. Oh, you don't
Well,
drink
that'd
anymore,
be-
do you?
yeah, of course. I'll be having a beer later on. It's only 2:30.
Yeah.
I don't go up to the pub till about 7:30, 8 o'clock. And when I walk in, I notice a couple of people always walk away or to the side because I bore people to death. You know? But I like that. I like that because that makes me gravitate closer to them. You know, I think, right, I'm just going to ruin your evening, mate, for that. You know? But yeah,
Hey, man.
so
It's
yes,
always good
well,
to be an
listen,
outsider, man, because you can
Yeah,
watch
I know.
everybody and you can analyze the things and like
Yeah, it was great
Comes-
talking to you,
whatever
Pete.
happens, man.
yeah,
But
when it
Pete,
comes
you are
naturally.
great, man.
Listen,
Exactly, man.
thank you, Dan, and thank you, Alex. It's very kind of you. And give us your address, and I'll send
That
it,
was-
and I will
that was
sign it to
awesome.
Alex and
Yeah,
Damien.
that
Don't
was fucking
fight over
rad.
who reads it
That was
first.
so
all right?
fucking awesome.
We
dude.
killed it.